Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. It's the Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. We help people build wealth, do work that they actually love, and create real, amazing relationships. This is a show about your life and your money. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. The phone number is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Joe's in Lansing, Michigan to start off this hour. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Hey, Dave. It's an honor to speak with you.
You too. How can we help?
So I'm a little nervous to say this to Dave Ramsey himself, but I typically use credit cards for all my day-to-day transactions.
What?
I know. I'm actually wanting to switch over to cash, but every time I do switch to spending with cash, it seems like I actually spend more, even if I do stay within my budget. For example, if I'm like at the grocery store and I have, say, $50 left in my budget towards the end of the month, if I'm using cash and it's sitting there in my envelope, I'll go and grab a couple steaks, maybe a case of beer or something. Whereas if I'm using a credit card, already knowing that I've racked up $400 on this month's statement, it really keeps me away from, spending that little extra money and making that statement hurt that much more when it comes in the mail. So my question is basically, how can I get over that mental hurdle and switch to using cash so I don't have to do business with people like Visa and MasterCard?
Okay. Well, the principle of this whole thing, the old grandma's old envelope system, and if you have a grocery envelope and you have the money for your grocery budget in the envelope, you can't spend that money on anything except groceries, and you can't spend it's all, and when it's empty, you quit buying. And so your problem is you're ending up with money left over, which means you might be overfunding the envelope.
Okay.
You might be overfunding the category, but the overall idea behind the thing is that we figured out years ago at Ramsey that personal finance is 80% behavior, and so when we can do things that create friction, that create mental and emotional recognition of spending, then it tends to lower and control spending within a category. So, for instance, a more sophisticated version of that is on a website. If you have to click too many times and do too many hoops to make the purchase, people will bail on the cart.
Yeah, I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, jump out because there's too much friction. The opposite end of that is Amazon Prime. You click buy now and it's on your porch in an hour or two, and so that's the ultimate in low friction situation. But what the research tells us, and research done by MIT, is that when people spend cash, it activates the pain centers of their brain. When you spend plastic, it does not.
And I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, but it's not working with you for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with your brain, but
right.
So I don't care. I don't care. What I would tell you to do if you want to is switch to a debit card, not a credit card, and that's coming out of your checking account. And that way, there's no chance that you accidentally overspend a category and end up in debt. And then if you want to do that, that's fine. Years ago, I did that, for instance, with the gas pump. When I started teaching this, you still had to go inside the store to pay for your gas. This is 35 years ago, right? And then they put those things at the pump where you don't even have to walk inside, and you stick your card in there. And what's interesting is the upheaval on high gas prices when you had to walk in the store and pay cash. The political firestorm was much higher because people noticed what they were paying. But when you don't even have to walk inside and you just put your little card in there, and the only aggravation is you see a large number, but that's the only thing, then the political firestorm associated with high gas prices isn't as high because they already stringed the president up the first time it went to $5 and we all paid cash. Now it's just kind of like, it's one of those things. And so, but that's what's going on. So I would use your debit card. Christine, you got a suggestion?
Yeah, I'm curious. You said that you'll walk into the grocery store sometimes with $50 and then go get some steaks and a case of beer. That sounds like more than $50. Have you had the experience?
Yeah.
Right?
What kind of cheap steak are you eating, man?
Have you had the experience when you get to check out and it's more than the $50, or what's kind of been your parameters with that?
I more meant one or the other, not both at the same time. Yeah, that put me over $50.
And I'm like, that's kind of expensive.
My default setting is very frugal. I'm well under my means as is. Maybe I'm just getting too nitpicky about it, but
yeah. No, I think what it amounts to is you don't get you very seldom were overspending before you met us.
Right.
And so all we're doing is giving you some guidelines and some mechanical processes. So
yeah, what baby step are you in right now?
I guess technically I'm in 6, but I'm doing more than the 15% in my retirement.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
It doesn't feel like I'm in 6 yet. I still feel like I'm a youngin'.
Yeah, you know what? You need to buy more stuff. You're too cheap. You need to enjoy some of your money. You really?
I don't have any to enjoy still. I mean,
I know. I'm thinking, you had some left over and didn't want to buy a steak. I mean, so I want you to enjoy some of your money a little bit at the grocery store. That's okay. You don't have to be on beans and rice at this stage. And so here's the thing. A lot of people, most people that we deal with are spenders in our culture. But occasionally we run into a frugal person like you, and we all have to learn all three. We have to develop all three money muscles: the generosity muscle, the saving, investing muscle, and the spending muscle. And the spending muscle means wise spending, but doing some. We have to enjoy money. We have to save and invest it, and we have to be generous. And if you're not doing, and frugal people tend to leave that one off, and spenders tend to not do either one of the other ones because they just spend it all on themselves. But that's what we run into.
Right. I don't think that he expected such an affirming response after calling it about credit cards.
Well, there is that. But yeah, I would chop up the credit card for sure and get a debit card. That's not a question. And we're anti-credit card here. There's just so many things that can go wrong with the use of a credit card, and the debit card will do everything the credit card will do. It has the same fraud protections. I travel all over the world with my debit cards. I don't have any issues with them that any of you don't have with your credit card. All of us get the fraud alert, sometimes, and no, and all this. And did you buy $3 worth of gas in Canada? Nope, I didn't. So something wrong there. That we all get those things, right? But so I carry debit cards. That's all I carry. Our company has debit cards, hundreds of them, with our team that travels and everything else. And so, and they use cash as well. We don't have a company credit card at Ramsey. None of us do. And we don't even have, and I certainly don't have any at home. Although, Christina, full disclosure, after 30 years of doing this, I'm still trying to get Sharon to call it a debit card.
What does she call it?
She still says, hand me the credit card. After 35 years of me telling people not to use a credit card. My own wife is a traitor. No, I'm kidding. No, she actually knows what it is, but she just forgets. She's like, give me the credit card. And I'm like, no, don't say that out loud. Somebody will hear you. You're Sharon freaking Ramsey. You'll start a rumor. There'll be a whole Reddit thread over you. This is The Ramsey Show.
Still on baby step number 1, eh?
How'd you guess?
With healthcare costs rising, learn how Christian Healthcare Ministries can help you make the most out of your budget. Visit chministries.org/budget.
Don't worry, it's worth it.
Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. 888-225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life and your money. Heather's with us in Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Heather. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave and Christina. Thanks so much for taking my call today.
Absolutely. How can we help?
So I had student loans starting from 2012, and I have been actively paying exactly as I should, never went into deferment, paid all the way through the pandemic, and then decided to make a lump sum to pay them completely off in January of 2021.
Wonderful.
I recently found but I recently found out that I would qualify for, that I very likely would qualify for the Biden student loan forgiveness. And I'm wondering if there should be any moral dilemmas or misgivings about this, because I don't need this money. I'm on baby steps 4, 5, and 6. And so should I have any misgivings about possibly applying for the forgiveness?
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you what your morals are. So I can tell you where. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of metaphors, all right, to kind of walk alongside this on ethics. A lot of ethics things are, if you answer them and say, how would I want to be treated if I were on the other side of this? If you're on the other side of something from another party, then you could look at that. That's a little difficult here because this is the government you're on the other side of. So it's kind of like who gives a rip on that part of it. But we tell people not to use credit cards. We were just talking about that. And then we have sometimes a business owner who's gone through Financial Peace University, paid off a bunch of credit cards, gotten rid of all their credit cards, only has debit cards, and they hate credit cards, and they own a pizza restaurant. Now, is it a moral dilemma for them to take a credit card? I tell them it's not a moral dilemma for them to take a credit card because they don't. I'm a public figure. I come out, tell people don't use credit cards. So for me to use a credit card would be pretty much straight up hypocrisy, right? I came out and the state of Tennessee passed this ridiculous lotto a few years ago. And I knew the data on the lotto before they passed it. The data on lottos, if you guys out there don't know, is the state of Tennessee uses the lotto money to send people to college. Okay? You get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or whatever if you live in the state of Tennessee towards your college from the lotto fund. However, the lotto is primarily played by people in poor zip codes. So it's pretty much poor people sending rich people, middle class people to school. And so I raised hell about that when they're passing it in the state of Tennessee. I lost. The state passed it. It's been going for a decade or more. And when my kids went to college, they qualify for it. It's not income-based at all. Everybody can get the $3,000. So do I go get the $3,000? No. I'm a public figure that campaigned against it. For me to go take that money then would be hypocritical. But Heather, on the other hand, you're more like the pizza store owner. You haven't publicly come out and decried on the front page of the Wall Street Journal that this whole thing is a scam and a bunch of freaking communists running D.C. and like I have, right? And so you're not in the same position of the Ramsey personalities. Any Ramsey personality to take student loan forgiveness, as hard as we've come out against it, would be inconsistent. But if our young lady, 25 years old, is a creative and works somewhere inside of Ramsey, is she morally wrong to take the forgiveness? No, it's a government program. She didn't steal anything. She didn't do anything wrong. It's not. She's not being a ne'er-do-well. So I don't think you have a moral thing. I also am okay if you decide you don't want to take it on moral grounds. Either one would be fine with me, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. You got a lot of thoughts about this.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people the last several weeks. I've done a lot of Facebook and Instagram lives, hearing people's opinions, and it's just all over the place. A lot of people are really upset about it. A lot of people are super excited about it, and there's just the whole range of emotions. And I think it's hard because I actually put a poll out on my Instagram to see, how people felt, and about 80% of the people that responded had negative reactions. They weren't happy about the forgiveness and all of that. So I could understand if maybe your friends are frustrated about the forgiveness, that you're probably a little bit hesitant. And I think it's okay to say, hey, I don't know that Washington should have made this decision. Maybe you disagree with the decision, and also still go, but the decision's been made, and I'm going to go ahead and get the forgiveness. Like, I think, like Dave said, it really just depends on your own morals and what you decide. But I think you can feel multiple emotions at the same time. Be frustrated if you want to be frustrated about the decision, but also realize the decision's been made. Possibly, obviously, there's still some loopholes that have to be gone through.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see, but also still get the forgiveness. I don't think it's really, bad if you end up getting some of that money back.
Yeah, and I guess another metaphor, and this is probably a little bit harsh of a metaphor, but a lady called in one time that was a single mom who had lost her job and had 2 little kids. And, she said, I'm morally opposed to welfare, but I need to take it to feed my kids right now. And I said, well, are you going to take it as a way of life for the next 50 years? No, just till I can find something to work to do. And I said, honey, that's what welfare is for. Go get your kids some food. As a taxpayer that's paying for that, I'm okay with that. Now, do I want to finance you doing that the rest of your life? No, that's not good for you. It steals your dignity. But I'm not saying you're some kind of horrible deadbeat single mom feeding your kid with a welfare check. I mean,
right.
Until you're able to land a job.
Yeah.
And so that's the same kind of thing. That's probably even more visceral or harsh than this discussion. But so yeah, I'm going to be your friend either way, Heather, is what I'm saying. It doesn't bother me. But I think that people would judge me harshly were I to take that, or my family were to take that after I've taken a public person's stand on it, and I think that would be accurate to judge me that way, because I think that'd be hypocritical. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just was feeling a little conflicted, being that I on one hand I can think of a lot of ways that I can, I have a 529 for my daughter that I could put that money into.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm adopting next year, but then at the same time I know that I don't need that money when so many other people do, that it's really intended for.
You're not taking it from someone that would have gotten it if you weren't around. Like, they're not going to go, hey, Heather got hers and we're out, so Joan, you don't get any because Heather took it. That's not how the program's going to work, okay? So it's just going to be. Now, I will tell you one other thing to think about, and this is to thoroughly not answer your question. The other thing I do sometimes, particularly when we're dealing with things where I feel like I'm right on something, but I'll just do it anyway. Out of kindness or generosity, because and the rule I use on that is when I'm 82 laying on my deathbed, which way am I going to be happy I did this? Inside my heart of hearts, in my soul, am I going to be happy I gave this a little bit more, even though the server was horrible, but I left a little bit bigger tip? I'm never going to be mad at myself when I'm 82 laying on my deathbed doing that. But shorten them, I might come up later and go, gosh, I wish I'd have been nicer. And so when in doubt, don't kind of thing, and that makes you further conflicted. But the biggest concern I got about the whole thing is you're worried about it, which kind of means you shouldn't do it in a way. So that's what I'm saying. But that's not a moral blanket I would throw over everyone out there listening to this conversation. I think we've made that clear. But people are pissed, and we can wrap it up with this. I kind of don't think it's going to happen anyway. I really don't. Because they announced this, and they never told the Department of Education anything about it before they announced it, and they never told studentloan.gov, and they never told, none of the website, none of the administrative things. There's 33 million people they've got to process, and they didn't even tell the agencies that are going to process before they announced it. It kind of makes me think they think it's not going to happen.
Man, but if it doesn't happen at this point, it's going to be a train wreck.
Oh.
Either direction.
We'll see. They'll blame it on the Republicans. This is The Ramsey Show. Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today in the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Patrick and Kelly are with us. Hey, guys, how are you?
Great. Awesome, Dave. How are you and Christina?
Better than we deserve. We're so honored to have y'all. Where do y'all live?
We are traveling in from the Richmond, Virginia area, Chesterfield, Virginia.
Fun. That's a nice area. Welcome to Nashville. How much debt have you paid off?
$332,000.
Way to go. And how long did this take?
Just a little bit under 6 years.
Good for you. And your range of income during that time?
We started out about 90 and finished up around 130.
Good. What do you guys do for a living?
I was a sales rep for a company and became a training manager.
Okay.
I was a prenatal educator with one of the local health facilities, but I'm now retired.
Oh, good for y'all. Way to go. Okay, $332,000 over 6 years. I'm going to guess and say that might be your house.
It does include the house, but
I'm looking at weird people.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
The house was just about half of it. So we had $188,000 of consumer debt.
Whoa.
And it took us 3 years to clean that mess up.
What in the world did you borrow on?
Dave, I had this red credit card with the little white circles on it that had about $20,000 on it.
You were able to hit the target.
Yes, we were.
Did.
Too many times.
Hit it and hit it and hit it again. Seriously, that was how much of the 188 was target?
18.
Yeah.
18,000? Okay, well, 10% of it. What was the rest of it?
We had 2 cars and a bunch of other credit cards. We actually have this frame that we cut up our credit cards and put them into. We had.
Oh yeah, I've got it on the screen. Yeah, excellent.
That's what 32 credit cards looks like.
Oh!
Yeah, we share that with our classes that we teach or coordinate for FPU. And
thank you.
Yes, it's a big lesson in what not to do with credit cards.
So some guy comes in there with 7 credit cards. He don't feel dumb after seeing that.
No.
Way to go, you guys!
Thank you. We also had a $54,000 student loan for our youngest daughter, Carly, and Dave. That's a story in itself. One night I woke up and I was like, we thought we were debt free. We paid off $90,000. We thought we were debt free. I woke up in the middle of the night. And I was like, we got a student loan we co-signed for. And I got up, I started Googling what would Dave say about co-signed student loans. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, Kelly woke up and I'm like, hey, we're not debt free. Look, this is what Dave says.
Oh.
And she started crying. We had thought we were so close, but we knew that was ours. So we took that on and hit it with Gazelle intensity also. And that was the last component of that $188,000.
Wow. Well, you guys have been getting after it for a long time.
Yes.
I mean, this is a pull.
Yeah. So what really started the journey? What lit that fire to get you guys on the road?
I have to let Kelly answer that.
Oh, that's all on me. We were gifted by one of our daughters the Total Money Makeover, and I looked at it, and just before she gave us that book, I was doing the bills, and it was ugly. I was sick to my stomach every time I had to rob Peter to pay Paul, and it wasn't working. So I read your book in a day, and I took it to him, and I said, we're in a mess, and we got to figure out how to take care of it. I said, I want you to look at what this man recommends. And he looked, he says, that's not going to work.
You could tell by the cover.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So then he finally sucked it up and said, all right, let's give it a try. Let's do it his way. Well, in the meantime, our church was just starting some groups, and FPU was listed. I signed us up for him, and I didn't tell him. I told him we did sign up for a marriage group. So I said I signed up for 2 groups. One's a marriage group, and the other one's just another group that we're going to attend. And he went reluctantly. By the second class, I think he was
ready to teach.
He was ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. You say, Dave. You say if it's not working my way, then I should try somebody else's way. And I think my pride broke through during that second class, and I became open-minded. But she did trick me into going to the FPU, and it was one of the best things that ever happened to us.
That's a good wife right there.
Yes.
I mean, 6 years and over $300,000, that's a long journey. And then you had that surprise with the student loan, $50,000. How did you stay motivated for that long?
Yeah, the motivation came from teaching or coordinating the FPU classes. We will actually start our 15th class next Wednesday.
You're like super coordinator.
Yes. And friends that are here with us, Scotty and Shelley Bryan, they have been very supportive throughout the process. They've continued to cheerlead for us. They went through our class in 2019. And Dave, just to share, they also just paid off their house last Friday.
All right.
So they are now baby step 7 also.
Ooh, yeah. This is great. We got a group right here, man. This is fun. You guys are amazing. Okay, after all this, now you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's not a payment in the world, not even a house payment. How old are you two?
So I'll be 50, or I just turned 55.
Mm-hmm. How long y'all been married?
33 years.
Have you ever been debt-free before now?
No.
Now when you wake up at 6 in the morning and you don't have a payment in the world, how does it feel?
It is so awesome, Dave. We added a line item to our budget as we became debt-free. It's our gift line item. So above and beyond tithing, we now are able to bless others and share.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most fun you'll ever have, isn't it?
So
It
fun.
sure is.
So
Sure
fun.
is.
You guys are amazing. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for leading 15 Financial Peace University classes, sharing this story. You guys are troopers. What do you tell people the secret to getting out of debt is? Because you're experts.
Staying on budget and being content with what you have.
Yeah, that was a huge lesson for me, Dave. We didn't just try to keep up with the Joneses. We actually tried to be the Joneses, and so we were living, pretending to be wealthy, and now we can actually work our way to truly living like we should.
Yeah, you're on your way. Very cool.
We talk to a lot of people who have a ton of consumer debt. I love that you guys paid off the consumer debt and the mortgage. And these people are looking at 6 figures of debt thinking there's no way I could ever do this. What would you tell those people?
It's all about the desire to do it as well as the motivation. And together, we just put our head down, really focused on the debt and the budget. The budget is so critical, and being content and being happy to say, this is not us today. This is not for us today. We'll get it when time comes.
No means not yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Good for y'all. Hey, we got a copy of Baby Steps Millionaires for you. That's the next chapter in your story if you're not already there. And also a Total Money Makeover book for you to give away and disturb some other couple. I like that. And a Financial Peace University 1-year membership. I'm sure you'll find a good use for that as super coordinators. Find somebody that's deserving that you can send through that. So all of those are gifts for you to re-gift and at our pleasure. And we thank you. Thank you guys for sharing. We're so proud of y'all. You're amazing.
Thank you.
You're heroes, man. You did it. Yeah,
did.
baby. This is how it works. Patrick and Kelly, Richmond, Virginia. $332,000 paid off in 6 years, making $90 to $130. Debt-free. House and everything. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. We're debt-free.
Wow. Well, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is you can do this. If you're listening to this right now, you're watching this right now, you can do this. It's very doable. It's hard, but it's doable. This is The Ramsey Show. Christine Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Joe is with us in Orlando, Florida. Hi, Joe. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Huge fan. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
Better than I deserve. What's up in your world?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to that last couple for the great testimony and for being the toughest act to follow ever. My good news is that leading up into 2020, completed all the baby steps, was really rolling, have up to $75K in retirement funds as a 32-year-old. In 2020, I got married, and then we both got master's degrees. So my big downer is that we actually now have $85K in student loan debt. And when I talk to the very, successful people, they tell me, well, you should start paying that off, but also, no matter what, contribute to your 401K so you get the match. But I have a feeling you're going to tell me that I should completely stop contributing to that 401K to pay off the debt.
Why do you have that feeling?
Well, I've watched you a few times, but I haven't had to revisit the Dave Ramsey scriptures since 2020. So I'm calling to maybe get a kick in the butt and curious what you would say to those wealthy folks who took that strategy of still contributing to their 401K while paying off debt.
Yeah. I would say that they are not as wealthy as maybe they're projecting themselves to be, or that they're unusual. I'll answer that question first. When we studied the millionaires, 10,167 people who became millionaires, 90% of which became millionaires starting from nothing. They did not inherit money to make them millionaires, meaning they did this. They built wealth. The vast majority of them, there were some that followed the plan you're talking about, but the vast majority of them concentrated on getting rid of debt and then used the freed up income to build wealth with, because your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. Now, can the way you're working it, or you're talking about working it, work? Yes, it can. The reason that we've had more success than a lot of people in helping people build wealth is not because of the mathematics of this discussion, but because of the behavior aspects of this discussion. And what we found is, and it kind of runs against my math nerd brain, but what we found is the psychology of this whole thing is more important than the math is. You get the psychology right, the math ends up taking care of itself. Here's what I mean. Very few people can be consistent and intense on three things at once. That lack of focus, that lack of being dialed in on a singular goal causes people to not accomplish the goal. So it's very difficult to, I'll use something you said, get your master's degree while running 10 marathons in a year. Okay? They're both excellent goals. There's nothing wrong with both, but it requires a level of diligence and singularity of focus to complete Herculean tasks. And when you screw around with them, you end up not doing the marathons or not doing the MBA, or worse, not doing both. because you try to do too many things at once and so much stuff on your plate. And Earl Nightingale, the father of motivational speaking, grandfather of motivational speaking, used to say that the difficulty of achieving the goal is not what keeps people from achieving the goal as often as the things that they try to do while they're trying to do the goal. And so all of that is my pitch for singularity of purpose, meaning, yeah, I'm stopping everything temporarily. What's your household income, by the way?
About $160,000 a year.
Okay, so you're going to be debt-free in under 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, if we really behaved ourselves, that would be the case.
That's I'm presupposing that with this whole discussion, because if you don't behave yourself, and the other people's plan doesn't work either.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, I was on a three-year plan, given some emergency fund expenses, but
yeah, you're spending. You're still going out to eat. You're still going on vacations. You're still screwing around.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $160,000. You ought to be able to find 40 of it in a year. That's 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty wimpy.
Yeah. Well, sure. I think it feels hard because you've already worked through the baby steps and you got that pride and that excitement in 2020 of having everything paid off. And now it's kind of like a drag to have to go back and go, oh, man, we got to do this again. And I love that you called in knowing what Dave's going to say. I mean, you already know that you got to go back through this. You know that it's going to be hard. You're familiar with the work and the effort. I think it's just really accepting deep down that this journey is, starting again, that you're back in baby step 2. And with that, I would encourage you to go back through FPU or maybe even coordinate a class, listening to the last Debt Free Scream, they really helped other people while they were helping themselves, and that produces motivation. So I think the biggest challenge right now is like digging deep in your soul to figure out, how are we going to get that oomph.
But don't go lead a class if you're going to keep doing this other plan, okay? That'd be hypocritical. We don't need coordinators half-butt doing stuff. Okay, so if you're going to half-butt do it, don't do the class. That doesn't work. So, here's the thing, Joe. You're going to do what you're going to do. You're obviously not dumb people. You make almost a couple $100,000 a year. You both have graduate degrees. You're not dumb people. You just got to decide what the fastest, right way with the highest probability of success in the shortest period of time is. Our plan has taught 10 million people and made more millionaires than all your little friends sipping their lattes, talking together, put together have. So you just got to decide who you're going to listen to. I'm not a college professor who never made payroll. I'm not operating on tenure here. This is real people doing real stuff. 10 freaking million people have gone through Financial Peace University. There are tens of thousands more millionaires all over America, just because they did exactly what we said to do. Now, you can decide you don't want to do that, and that doesn't mean you're dumb. The other way will work, but the question is, what is the fastest, right way that has the highest probability of success, least probability of failure along the way? And it is getting rid of this debt in under 2 years, completely focusing, beans and rice, rice and beans. You fell off the wagon, you went $80,000 in debt, look in the mirror and go, stupid, I got to fix this. And that's the fastest right way to address it. Now, you can screw around with all these other people's plans, and you can watch TikTok and they've all got an opinion about money. But there's a reason they're on TikTok, okay? So think about it. You got to look at this, you got to figure it out. But here's the thing. If I hire a personal trainer, he walks in, he's got an 8-pack and I got a keg, I got to decide if I'm going to do his plan or my plan. You just got to decide which one I'm going to go with here.
Yeah, and I love what you said about very few people can be consistent and intense on 3 things at once.
You can't.
That is really powerful. I think a lot of people are seeing all this get-rich-quick stuff out in the market now, and they think that they can do all these things, and they're the one that's going to figure out the strategy of how to invest in all these cool, fancy things, and they're going to pay off their debt at the same time, and then they wake up 5 years later, and it did not work.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's why this whole idea of life balance is so stupid. It just doesn't work. You don't have a quality life if every single day is parsed out, balanced across the 9 areas of your life. Your spiritual walk, your physical fitness, your marriage, your kids, your education, your intellect, your work life. When you spread all those things out and try to do them all in one day, nothing gets done.
It's true.
You're training for a marathon, your Bible study may end up sitting to the side a little bit. You're trying to read through the Bible in a year, you may not end up hitting the street every day and running 5 miles every day.
And it's not
something gonna trade off, baby, in order for you to win at the other thing. And over the scope of your life, you need to touch all these areas. But in a given day, a given week, or even a given season, no, you're not supposed to have life balance.
Well, and you'll get to those goals later. And you'll get to building wealth. You'll get to paying off your house. That's going to come in the baby steps. But be willing to make the sacrifices and do the hard now so that you can really win with those goals later.
Live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but it yields a harvest of righteousness. This is The Ramsey Show. Dave here. We just launched a brand new audience survey for The Ramsey Show, and we'd love your feedback. You could be entered to win a $500 Visa gift card. No purchase necessary. Take the survey at RamseySolutions.com/survey. From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. It's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king. The paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. We help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. We're going to be joined by you from all across America as we talk about you right in front of you. We'll talk about your life and your money. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Teddy is with us in New York City. Hi, Teddy. How are you?
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Thank you for having me on the show again. I called you last year to get a little guidance in terms of my career and whatnot, especially financially. And just to kind of remind you, you told me to potentially hold off on my master's. I'm going to be pursuing that due to the fact that I just got engaged over the summer, and my fiance has one more year in the same school. So we're just going to finish up our degrees, her undergrad, me grad school, and then head to the beautiful state of Florida. But my goal long term is to have a good career and, more importantly, to have financial stability, ideally in the aspect of real estate, passive income and whatnot. I have no real guidance in that regard, so I'd love to get your take on it.
What's your master's in?
Mechanical engineering.
And what career are you pursuing after this?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay. Do you have a job already lined up?
I had a couple for this year, but like I said, I decided to just get my master's. It just didn't seem reasonable to take a job for 1 year and then head to a different state.
Okay.
In addition to that, my master's degree only costs less than $14,000 for the whole program, and I'm currently debt-free as well. So it's something that I can reasonably pay off while I'm in school.
That's awesome. How did you pay for your education?
Predominantly through scholarships and some financial aid. I'm in New York, so there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm all for you buying some real estate. But when idiots on the internet say real estate is passive income, that means they've never owned any. Because there's nothing passive about dealing with renters and heat and air that goes out and roofs that leak and a coach department shows up and wants to shut you down because somebody across the street cut a sewer line. There's nothing passive about managing real estate. Nothing whatsoever. You want passive, buy a mutual fund. They'll just put the check in your mailbox and you don't have to think anything about it. But real estate ain't passive. It's very active. Even if you're managing the managing company, they've still got to call you and approve the $8,400 new heating and air system that blew up. Or the other day, I had a $26,000 one go out on one of our commercial buildings. Didn't feel passive to me at all. So anyway, I love real estate, but please enjoy the idea that this is going to be some hassle factor that other investments don't have. It does give you a better rate of return that other investments don't have. But when I hear someone say passive income and real estate in the same sentence, it means they've been on get-rich-quick websites. Because they make it sound like, oh, well, the renters will just pay for it. Nope, you're going to pay for it. Maybe the renters pay you. That's how it works in the real world. So, go buy you some real estate after you get your life started and pay cash for it, after you get your home paid off, and after you get your 401ks and other stuff started. But this idea that you're going to build a portfolio of heavily debt-ridden real estate and the renters are all going to make you rich is so freaking laughable that it makes my head spin. And it's all by people who have never done it before.
Well, and you're in such a good spot right now. You went through college debt-free. You're walking straight into baby steps 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
I think that's really where your focus needs to be right now. Real estate can happen someday, but focus on retirement starting out and get that primary residence in place and pay that off. Once you get to that spot, then we can start talking about really investing in real estate for profit. But you've got some very clear steps ahead. And if you do that right, you're going to really, especially at the age you're at right now, set yourself up for success versus getting kind of lost in this get rich quick world that's so prevalent right now. Like you said, on TikTok and Instagram, it's like very, very popular, but it's also really leading a lot of new grads down some crazy routes.
Yeah, and sometimes people misunderstand my sarcasm or anger at that stuff, like it's because it disagrees with me. That's not it at all. I know what it's going to do to you. When they mislead you, and you people listening go along with some of this stupid butt stuff that is out there, you're gonna end up like I did in my 20s, broke. I followed the same siren song, the exact same one, only it was just the 1980s version. Okay, and Dave, you just didn't understand. Listen, honey, believe me, if there's one thing I know how to do, it's numbers. Okay, so I completely understood, and I did it with great gusto. Starting from nothing in 3 years, I had over $1 million net worth, 125 properties. Okay, so starting from nothing in 3 years. So I didn't half but do it. I did it all out. I mean,
you
I got a
straight in.
PhD and DUMB, and I knocked it out in a short period of time. So, and here's the thing I discovered, Christine, I've not directed at him. By the way, for you, sir, you are an engineer, which is the number one of all careers, most likely to be a millionaire when we studied millionaires. Number one was engineer. Number two was accountant. Number three was teacher. Okay, so you got a lot of good stuff on your side. Just don't fall into get rich quick. So in our day, they didn't call it passive income. They called it nothing down. And there was a guy that wrote the book was called Nothing Down. It was a best-selling book. And a whole bunch of people, including me, followed a lot of his strategies on buying a house with no money, because that's precisely how much money I had, none. So that's all I could use. So I used other people's money, OPM, talked the bank into 100% financing, 90-day notes. I bought a property, made money on it, bought another property, made money on it. Every time I made money on it, the banker gave me more money. It was a nice formula, and until it wasn't nice anymore. And a few years later, the guy that wrote the book went into bankruptcy.
Ouch.
I joined an investors group, a real estate investors group that were following this guy's, he put together groups in cities. They were following this guy's guidelines and got to be friends with a bunch of guys. We would, one of us, we couldn't do a deal. We find a deal. We find somebody else to do the deal. We give it to one of our buddies, right? And we swapped it around. There was it was probably 60 people in that group that were doing this stuff actively. 10 years later, from the time we all started that, how many of them were still buying real estate and not broke? None. Nobody made it. Not one. I take that back. 2 guys made it, but the reason they made it was they woke up watching the rest of us go broke, and they turned a whole bunch of their properties, took the equities, and paid off the rest. They became debt-free, and they came out of it with about 30% of the property, but it was all debt-free instead of leveraged to their eyeballs. And they reverse engineered and got out with by the skin of their teeth. And I ran into one of those guys the other day. That was 30 years ago. He's still buying real estate, and he's still healthy. But he was one of the few smart enough to look at the rest of us and going, these fools are all going broke doing the same thing. And I was one of those fools. So, but you find people get rich in real estate, they're not ones that leverage up to their eyeballs. It's hard to find somebody who follows this passive income crap and 10 years later is not broke. It's very difficult to find 10 years later a real estate investor that follows that plan. They're very rare. They're unicorns.
But you can still invest in real estate with
cash. Pay cash for it.
I mean,
cash for it.
Look at you now.
I own a bunch of real estate, but just pay cash for it and grow slower, and don't try to go follow all this mind-numbing get-rich-quick stuff. I say it all the time. If you're a business owner and you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And when markets are shifting, it's even more important. You've got to know where you stand so you make your next move the right move. And you don't have to be in the dark here. Over 31,000 businesses, including my team at Ramsey, know their numbers because they use NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, planning, budgeting, and inventory so you can manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Having everything in one place has saved my team hours each week since we made the switch to NetSuite. NetSuite is a game changer. So head on over to netsuite.com/Ramsey to get a product tour today. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey. Thank you for joining us, America. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Have you ever noticed that when you commit to change in one area of your life, it becomes easier to make progress in the other areas? I've met a lot of people on their journey to building wealth who accomplished other amazing things along the way, like losing 50 pounds, finding a career they love, overcoming stress and anxiety. What seems impossible becomes possible when you have a smart plan and you turn up the focus and intensity on your goals. That's why we're bringing Smart Conference to Dallas, Texas on Saturday, October 22nd. Some of the leading thought leaders some of the thought leaders in every major area of your life, best-selling authors, will be there speaking. Christina Ellis, right to my right, #1 best-selling author, Ramsey Personality, will be speaking for the first time at Smart Conference. Dr. John Deloney, in the area of mental health, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, #1 best-selling author. Ken Coleman, From Paycheck to Purpose, on the area of career. George Camel, one of the most exciting new Ramsey personalities, will be on stage. Rachel Cruz, #1 best-selling author 3 times over. I'll be there. And Craig and Amy Groeschel from Life Church in Oklahoma City Pastor Craig will be speaking on marriage there. October 22nd, it is the only live event with tickets left this fall. Everything else is sold out all over America. Thank you, America. We just came back from 2 sold-out back-to-back events in Phoenix, Arizona, a little bit earlier this week. Thank you to our KTAR listeners and other folks that came in for that event. We appreciate you very much. It was lights-out, amazing evenings. So thanks for being with us. You can get your tickets for this Smart Conference. You'll be smarter. It's all day long. It's only $35. You would pay more than $35 to hear any one of these people speak. That's almost free, is what that is. And so October 22nd, get your tickets now, RamseySolutions.com/events. Thomas is with us in Denver. Hey, Thomas, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Oh, hi, Dave. Hi, Christina. Thank you for taking my call today.
Sure. What's up?
I have to tell you, I'm going to try to get through this call. I am definitely compromised. I've been listening to you for a very, very long time, Dave, and I'm 43 and widowed as of 8 weeks ago.
Oh, my.
Unexpected. I have a disabled 6-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old boy. And I'm calling because I am just beyond grateful to you. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Okay.
And
what happened?
I can talk to people now, which is
okay.
Which is great.
What happened to your wife?
So she had an unexpected and sudden heart attack in her sleep. Wow. And I found her. So our daughter's disabled, so she usually co-sleeps with my daughter, and I work late. We were doing we're in the phase of our life where we have young kids, and she has a full-time job. And then I would work nights and weekends doing like Uber and part-time stuff, and I would take care of her during the day and my son. And that worked for us. And so I came home late one Friday night, which happens from time to time. And I really wish I hadn't gone out that night, obviously. Not that I could have done anything, but I just would have liked to have been home. But so in the morning, I usually sleep in because I'm working late. And it was just odd because I didn't hear the pitter-patter of my daughter's feet, running around the house and the cupboards and dishes and stuff. And I was like, that's weird. And so I was in a spare bedroom, and I walked in, and I heard the kids kind of giggling. And I was like, huh. So I got up, and I went into the master bedroom, and the kids were on the other side of her playing. And when I saw Mary, I knew right away, obviously, what happened. And it's like,
oh, my.
Just the worst, obviously. And
Thomas, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I looked at my boy and my daughter, and I looked back to my wife, and these are microseconds. And he says to me, he says, Daddy, I think she's still sleeping. And that one got me. And then I picked them up, and I took them into his bedroom and shut the door. And I just lost it. I couldn't even, I couldn't get my fingers to dial 911, It's like,
sure. Hey, Thomas, how long were y'all married?
Almost 18 years and together for 23.
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, it's not part of the plan to be widowed at 43, right?
No, that's for sure.
So, all right, let me shake this out. Oof. So the reason why, again, I'm calling is because I really do think that if you didn't save my life, you at the very least have calmed the worst season of my entire life. And I sincerely thank you. And these life insurance stuff is some of it has come in, and some of it is still being worked out. I did the recommended amount that you had mentioned. And I know what to do. That's not my question today. I know the plan. I know what to do. We were on steps 4, 5, and 6, and just plugging away. And so obviously, her life is cut short, so everything has changed. But I am taking that 6 months to a year, and I'm allowed to do that because of your plan. So I can grieve my wife without having to go to work or whatever. So I know I've said it, but I just wish that everybody would really take to heart, because I've heard the call that I'm making right now dozens of times on your show, and it gets me every time. And I would just say to your audience, wherever you are right now, if you have life insurance, check it yearly to make sure it's in good standing and it's the amount that you need. And then also, sit down with your spouse once a year and go over all the stuff, because that's what Mary and I would do. I was the nerd. She was the free spirit. And we would have our budget meetings, and we got to the point where, it was just finely tuned. And I would handle basically everything, and I would show her everything that was going on so that she was in the know. And I even made a spreadsheet, Dave, because I thought I was going to go first. I didn't think it'd be this early we would have this, but I was like, okay, Mary, here's where you go on my computer. You click this, and you just go from, number 1 to 30. And then this is all of our bills, everything, our tax person, everything. And so that you don't even have to think about it. You just go from one step to the next. And then, that was the best. So the irony is I'm following my plan, right? So
you're doing the 1 to 30.
Yeah, I'm doing the 1 to 30.
Brother, thank you. Thank you for calling and sharing your heart. I'm so sorry.
I guess that's it. You and I, Dave, have been friends for a very long time. You just don't know it. And if you don't believe me, you can ask all my friends. They'll tell you all about it.
Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to be your friend. And
thank you.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have Kelly pick up, and we're going to set you up with one of our Ramsey coaches at no charge, just to make sure you're 1 through 30. Give you some other folks looking over your shoulder, just to love you right now and give you a hug. And I bet your 1 through 30 is perfect, but we'll walk with you some more here, because that's what friends do. And but thanks for sharing your story, and I'm so sorry. What a horrible thing to go through.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm just so grateful for you calling and kind of leading that segment and walking people through what they need to know. Obviously, that's, everybody's nightmare and such a scary thing. But I'm so glad you were prepared, that you had life insurance in place, that you had the 1 through 30. And I think this conversation is going to help a lot of people have that conversation with their spouse.
One way you say I love you to your family is make sure life insurance is in place. That's one way you do it. And that's true when you sit in a situation like he is. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry. This is The Ramsey Show. If you're looking for ways to update your home without blowing the budget, I've got it. For years, I've been telling you about our friends at Blinds.com. Blinds.com makes it simple to shop top quality blinds, shades, and interior shutters from home with easy online ordering and free shipping. With Blinds.com, there's no need to renovate your entire home. Just change out what's on your windows with upscale choices like faux wood blinds, cellular, and roller shades, or even outdoor shades. Plus, Blinds.com guarantees the perfect fit, whether you do it yourself or you have them measure and install everything for you. Shop their latest looks and see how much you can save at Blinds.com today. The easy and affordable way to make your home more beautiful is Blinds.com. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today in the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Andrew and Taylor are with us. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
We're doing great. How are you?
Better than we deserve. Where do y'all live?
Over in Frederick, Maryland, closer to Middletown.
Okay, wonderful. Yep. Good to have you guys. And how much debt have you paid off?
We've paid off $58,123.79.
Good for you. How long did that take?
18 months.
Good. And your range of income during that time?
About $63,000 up to $85,000.
Good. Boy, you guys got with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. What kind of debt was the $58,000?
Most of it was student loans, but we did have a car loan, some tiny medical debts. We even borrowed on a phone. And
Of course you did.
Of course we did. Yep.
Wow.
Got to have those iPhones, right?
Yeah, that's right. So what happened 18 months ago that woke you guys up and you said, okay, game on?
Well, we both grew up in households that, our parents worked very hard. And they worked very hard. They would often work multiple jobs to make ends meet, but they lived paycheck to paycheck. And, they would use credit cards, use all the loans and everything. And, we grew up as we moved into our early adulthood. We did the same thing. We did the same thing that we had saw modeled.
Sure.
So we got the student loans, we got the car loans, we got the credit cards, all those things, and that pursued. It moved into our marriage as we got married in 2018. About 2.5 years into our marriage, we looked up and realized we weren't doing any intentional money goals, and so we would get the money that we got in every month. We'd just kind of spend whatever we want. And then if there happened to be a few bucks left over at the end, we'd throw that into a savings account. And, after a couple years of that, we had our friend Emily was the person that kind of plugged the Ramsey bug into our ear. She first started with Taylor and, was saying, hey, there's this guy, Dave Ramsey. You should probably look into working the plan. And that was something that her family had been working on. And so Taylor brought it up to me, and I was like, I don't know about this.
He shut it down.
Yeah, I did shut it down. So I was the one that shut it down. But around that same time, spring, summer of 2020, I actually decided I wanted to apply to be a police officer at a couple of our local departments. And part of the application process was actually listing all of your debts and totaling it up.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Are you a security risk?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that I didn't know that at the time. But when that happened, that was the first time I had done that. I had never totaled up my debt. I had never totaled up her debt, and definitely not totaled up the two of our debts together. And so when I saw that number on the paper,
oh crap moment.
Oh crap. And so I felt all that anxiety and that risk that she had been trying to communicate to me for those past couple years.
Well phrased.
And I just said, that's it. Game on. We're going to do this.
And our finances were separate up until that point.
Yeah.
And so we just got married, and we're like, oh, you know what? It's just easier. Like, I have my own account, you have your own account. Like, you'll pay these bills, I'll pay these bills. Like,
we'll
let's
be
just
roommates.
go. Yeah.
Yep.
You share mustard. Yeah.
Yep.
So you then the Dave Ramsey name, the Ramsey bunch comes back up, and you get plugged in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just started, once Andrew was on board, I was like, okay, awesome, game on. But we had never done a budget before. Like, I don't think any of our parents were on budgets. And so we sat down, and I think what really got us is we totaled up how much we spent on eating out and coffee and groceries the month before. We're like, oh my gosh, how is this even possible? We're two people. And so once we sat down, and before this, sometimes we thought a good month was oh, we have $500 left over at the end of the month. Let's put that in savings. And I think once we actually did our budget, we had $2,500 that was extra that we really didn't need to spend. And we were like, oh my gosh, what have we been doing with this $2,000 before? So we just got really, as you like to say, gazelle intense. And so we started DoorDashing was probably our number one side hustle. And so we would work our normal job 8 to 10 hours and then pack our food. That was we'd pack our food for dinner and go and DoorDash to 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And then Andrew did some random, whoever needed something fixed at their house. He was like, oh, I'll jump on that for some extra money. And
every dollar.
Yeah. So I babysat and pet sat, just kind of whatever. But
what's the story on the t-shirts?
Yeah, Andrew, you can.
So we put these together because the why is the most important reason that we did this, because it's not getting out of debt is a math thing, but it's not just a math thing. You can run the math out all day, but the hope, the motivation behind what you do is the thing that's going to keep going and keep pushing you forward. And so when we sat down, we realized that, hey, we grew up in these households that, didn't model that financial fitness. They loved us to death, and they got us a lot, and they taught us an amazing work ethic, but we want something different for our future kids. And so that hope, that was our why, and that's what kept us going on the days when we were exhausted, leaving our normal job and going out to DoorDash until midnight. Or
for those of you listening on the radio, it says it's not just a math problem, it's also a hope problem.
And on the back it says solve for freedom.
Wow. Hashtag debt free.
Hashtag debt free.
Hashtag debt free. Man, you guys are changing your family tree. That is just so cool. And I love that your story, you guys were living so normal before. The fact that you didn't know what your debts were and you were shocked when you saw them written down, that you were buying coffees and doing all these things and you're like, where is my money going?
Yeah.
So many people are living in anxiety because they just have no clue about their money. So what would you tell someone who's in that space, in that mindset of just kind of closing their eyes and not wanting to look at their financial situation? What would you tell them to snap them out of it?
I'd say that it's okay to not be normal. Even once we started our journey, I would talk to friends, and I feel we just live in a culture now that it's it's all about me and I deserve kind of the treat yourself mentality. And so I would talk to friends and they're like, Taylor, why are you working this hard to pay off all your debt and you're not enjoying going out to eat? I would tell people sorry, can't go, that's not really in the budget right now. And they're like, well, are you are you poor? And I'm like, no, like I have money. That's just like not what we're doing right now. And they're like, well, Taylor, like I work hard, so I want to spend that money. And so I would just tell them like, well, we do too, but that's why we're working really, really hard on this goal for the next 18 months. We thought it was going to take longer than that. And then after that, then we can live, you know?
Well, and you're able to say that because you, like you said, you grew up in a household where you watched paycheck to paycheck happen year over year. And so now you guys are just kind of resetting the game. You're saying, okay, we're going to work hard now so that in the future, our kids can just have this completely different life than what we grew up with.
Yeah, and I'd also add to what Taylor said, just humble yourself. Because if you don't, that was the first thing I had to deal with was me. When that first time I went out and DoorDash, I was like, I have a full-time job. Why am I doing this? And I just had to remind myself, I got a goal. And this is going to inch me closer to that goal one step at a time. And that kept me going.
Or like when we would see people like out, like they would be eating with their families. And I'm kind of like, oh no, do I hide or do I like say hi to them, you know? So
definitely delivering other people's food that smelled really good when we weren't eating out was very difficult.
But you had a why.
You guys are incredible. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Very well done. How's it feel to be free?
Awesome.
Amazing. We have options.
Amen. We got a copy of Baby Steps Millionaires for you. That's the next chapter in your story for sure. A 1-year subscription or membership rather to Financial Peace University, and also a Total Money Makeover book for you to give away and help somebody get started like you did, like that friend did for you. Very well done. Andrew and Taylor, Baltimore, Maryland area, $58,000 paid off in 18 months, making 63 to 85. Rock stars, count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2,
3, 2, 1. We're debt-free!
Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! That's how it's done, boys and girls. This is the Ramsey Show. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personalities, my co-host today. We know a lot of you are scared out there with inflation, debt, recession, interest rates going up, terrified you won't have enough to take care of your family. Well, you shouldn't have to live in that kind of fear. But you do have to get the point where you say, I've had it, and you're ready to make a change. When you get there, we can help. The way we help you is the best thing we do around here. It's called Financial Peace University. Over 10 million people have learned how to get out of debt, become wealthy and outrageously generous. It's a step-by-step plan. And we're offering it right now at the lowest price we ever have in 35 years. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So stop living in fear. You can do this. We can show you how. Yeah, not only be debt-free, but become wealthy. Not only become wealthy, but become outrageously generous and change your family tree. RamseySolutions.com/FPU, Financial Peace University. RamseySolutions.com/FPU. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. That means even if you mismeasure, you pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Use the promo code Ramsey to get the best possible deal.
Today's question comes from Lucy in Florida. I'm a senior in college and I have no student loan debt. Currently, I have enough scholarships and grants to cover about 85% of my expenses, which include my tuition, class materials, and rent. Out of pocket, I pay for my food, toiletries, and car expenses. I work about 19 hours at $14 per hour a week at a student position at my college, which covers the other 15% of my expenses. I'm seeing multiple scholarship opportunities that would apply to my senior year award letter, should I apply to them. The reason I am hesitant is because I feel comfortable with my financial situation, and I don't want to take the funds from students who might need it more than me. Even if I was able to get 100% of my college expenses covered, I would still keep my student position because it's valuable work experience towards my future career in data analytics. What should I do? Whew, that's an interesting question. I love that you haven't taken out any student loans. I love that you can pay for your tuition, and it doesn't sound like student loans are on the table. So if you feel comfortable continuing to do what you're doing and pay for your expenses and graduating debt-free, then, I mean, by all means, continue doing it. The fact that you're asking this question makes me think that you feel a little uneasy with taking the scholarships. And if you don't want to, I mean, that's fine. But also, there's nothing ethically or morally wrong in going for the scholarship. So I really don't think you can go wrong either way.
Yeah, you're not doing anything wrong by taking the scholarship. You're a very sweet, kind person, and you're not harming someone else. Okay, go get the scholarship, kiddo.
Yeah.
Go get it. Put the money in the bank. Let it be your insurance policy that you are able to finish up school debt-free. You're a very content person, which also means you have a very high probability of building wealth. It's one of the big ideas that we push all the time is contentment. And you're not a greedy person. You're not a person who sets out to harm others, or to gain at someone else's expense. And none of that is occurring when you take this scholarship. None of it is occurring. There is bazillions of dollars of scholarships that go unclaimed every year. And so you need to go get this scholarship, as many of them as you can get. And you've done nothing wrong by doing that. They're issuing the scholarship not based on whether or not you need it. They're basing it based on the information you give them in the application.
Right. Yeah, you're not harming anyone else from pursuing these great opportunities.
Absolutely. Open phones here at 888-825-5225. Anthony is in Phoenix. Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. How about yourself, sir?
Better than I deserve. What's up in your world?
So, Dave, I'm really kind of lost right now. Just give you a little background. 28. My wife and I have been married about 5 years or so. Just had a baby in February, first child. With that, I was let go from my previous job and started doing HVAC out in Arizona. But having my daughter made me start paying attention more to my spending a little bit because I want to set her up the correct way. And, I've been looking up how to get out of debt, and you always pop up first. So just wanted to get some input. I have the paper here, so I have $19,000 in credit cards, $12,500 for student loans, and $10,500 for a car. And right now, I'm doing an apprenticeship, making about $17,000, but that's supposed to change to about $30,000 coming this next summer when I turn to a service technician. So I really just need some guidance because it's something that I wait or stay up till 2:00 in the morning doing bills and worrying, okay, I know I need another job. It's just more so I don't know where to begin, honestly.
Well, I love that you said what really motivated you to get to thinking about your finances is that baby, because like you heard in the last debt-free scream, the why is so important, and wanting to change your family tree, wanting to leave a legacy for your child, that is an extremely powerful why. Now, are you familiar with the 7 baby steps?
Just from what I saw, I just started looking at them this week. I know that I think baby step 1 is saving $1,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then,
so let me ask you this. Does your wife work outside the home?
She does not. She's staying home with the baby at this time.
Okay. Then you are. You're going to be working all the time.
Yes, I am working.
Because you're starving to death.
Yeah.
$17 an hour in Phoenix, Arizona for a family of 3, you're not going to make it.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it till next summer. So you're going to be working a lot.
Right.
You're going to be working like 3, 4 extra jobs, any extra overtime they'll give you at work for double pay, anything you can do to get income up. Got to get the income up, because you're in a pretty good sized hole here with about $40,000 worth of debt, and you got a fairly small shovel right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So if you're committed to doing that, then we'll commit to helping you. We have a whole class that you go through with your wife, and it's $100 to go through it, but I'm going to give it to you free because I've been right where you are, scared broke with a baby.
Oh, thank you. Yes, oh my goodness, that's going to help.
If I give it to you for free, you got to go through the whole class and your wife, both of you. Promise me.
Yeah. Yes, I promise you, brother.
Okay. And so we'll sign you up for Financial Peace University. That's what we were just talking about there a minute ago. And you can take it online. You can get the class there. And there's a lot of the classes are taught there in Phoenix and local churches. You can plug into one of those. Lots of ways you can do the class, but we'll get you signed up. It won't cost you a dime. And what we're going to teach you is to follow those baby steps that Christina was referring to, get you on a written budget. You began to do that when you're staying up in the middle of the night worrying and writing out your bills. That's the beginning parts of a budget. And you start figuring out that there's not enough coming in. That's why I'm telling you got to get more coming in. So, you're going to be door dashing and the pizza delivery or working extra as a side gig on HVAC or whatever it is for a while. And then when you get to $30 an hour, that's going to help, but that's not going to solve the whole thing. Even then, you're going to still be going a while because you got $40,000 to come up with to be free. Because if you didn't have any payments, this would be a whole lot easier. You'd still need to get your income up, but it'd be a whole lot easier. And that's where we're going to take you to. So hold on, and Kelly will pick up, and we'll get you signed up. The interesting thing is that fear like that will move you forward, but too much fear like that will paralyze you. So you've got to see a light at the end of the tunnel that's not an oncoming train.
Yeah, and that's what I was just thinking when you were talking about how this is going to be a long journey for him, but there is that light at the end of the tunnel. I love that this call is following the previous Debt-Free Scream, where it's just such an example of if you have a strong why and you're willing to go through that season of hard, it's going to be so much easier for the rest of your life and for your kids. That beautiful baby that you were fighting for, she's going to know a completely different world with money.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it works. Christina Ellis, my co-host, James, Andrew, Zach, Ben, Austin, Kelly, all in the booth, helping us out, the booth people. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host, and we'll be back. Dave here. We just launched a brand new audience survey for The Ramsey Show, and we'd love your feedback. You could be entered to win a $500 Visa gift card. No purchase necessary. Take the survey at ramseysolutions.com/survey. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio. It's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. We help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today as we answer your questions about your life. It's a free call, 888-825-5225. Ned is in Fort Bragg. Hey, Ned, what's up?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
Hey, so here's my situation. Basically what happened was I've been in the Army a few years. During that time, my wife and I got married. We've had 2 kids. We bought a property, and eventually we moved out of that property, and we now live on post. We rent the property, and we make about $400 a month on it. Now, I'm getting out of the Army very soon, in the next few months. We've hit a bit of a rough patch with our finances, and we're wondering if we should sell the house or not to help us transition out of the military and into civilian life.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your service. But a rental property, here's how I made that decision and how all of us at Ramsey process this. I always reverse engineer it. And then that usually gives me the answer very quickly. And so by that I mean, let's pretend you did not own that rental property. How much cash would it put in your pocket if you sold it?
There's about $100K left on the property, and on the internet, it's valued at $175.
Okay, so let's call it $50,000 or so. Okay, you're going to put $50,000 cash in the middle of your kitchen table. In your situation today, if you did not own the rental property and you had $50,000 cash in the middle of your kitchen table, would you go buy a rental property? And the answer very quickly is no.
Yep. No.
No, because you're transitioning and you're going through a rough patch, both. Right?
Correct.
Transitioning out of the military and you're going through a rough patch with your finances. Not a time to use your $50,000 for a rental property. You need to use it to make this transition proper and to clean up some of the mess that's causing the rough patch. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's how I did that.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. What are you going to do?
I'm looking at some options. It looks like I'm probably going to be a prison guard or a cop.
Okay. Very cool. Well, Christina's husband spent a while in law enforcement. She knows something about that.
Yeah, he recently retired after 17 years, so it's been an amazing career for him. Yeah.
Well, I hope it works out for me, too.
Yeah, it's quite the adventure. You'll have some really interesting stories at the end of it all.
All right, good for the grandkids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, thanks for your service. But that's a good way to do that. That's that thing we call sunk cost analysis, where you say, doesn't really matter how you got here, you're here. And if you weren't here, would you put yourself back here? Meaning that, okay, I don't want to sell this investment. I'm going to wait till it comes back up. That's not how you analyze it. The question is, if you wouldn't buy that investment again today, based on everything you know about that investment, based on the economy, based on whatever, then you shouldn't be owning it today.
Yeah.
You should get out of it.
Yeah, and it's good to just have that reframe, because then you can look at that $50,000 and say, okay, what is the best strategy for this money? What can we do to dig out of this hole and kind of get a little bit of a head start?
And it helps me to just pile it up visually in the middle of the table. Just have like a pile of $100 bills there, $50,000 worth of them.
Whoa.
And you go, what would I really do with that? And, sometimes that's a boat sitting in the driveway that nobody has had in the water for 3 years. And you go, time to sell the boat. Because if I didn't own the boat today, I wouldn't buy it today. And if it's worth $11,000 or whatever it is, I had $11,000 piled up in the middle of the table, would I buy a boat? No, I hadn't put the stupid thing in the water in 3 years. Or, of course I'd buy a boat. We use it every weekend. And so, then you'd keep the boat. You can do that with anything.
Right. Well, and sometimes it's things that are a bit more painful and more painful situations. Like we have a lot of people on the debt-free stage that sold their truck, their beloved truck. And it's like they did see that visual representation of, I love my truck, but that $30,000 or that $40,000 that I made that I shouldn't have spent that money on could be a pile of money on the table that we could use towards debt and getting to.
We would rather, at this point, I love my truck, but I love debt-free more.
Yep.
And that's what you're saying when you sell the truck.
Yep.
That's what you're saying. I remember that one of the first times that happened, I had a good old boy in one of our FPU classes. He's a big hunter, had a big collection of guns and a huge collection of collectible knives. It was a wonderful knife collection. And he was a great big old guy, And he comes in and his little tiny wife is sitting there we're in the class in Financial Peace University. We're having a discussion afterwards, in the small group discussion, and she starts crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she goes, my husband just sold his knife collection to get us out of debt.
Wow.
It's the most manly thing I've ever seen in my life, that he put his family ahead of his little thing, And his wife just, she loved him before, but when he stepped up and took care of the family and her before he took care of his own little thing, it just, their marriage went to a whole nother level.
Wow.
And so, but I'll never forget her crying. Because, I grew up with a bunch of guys that I know what that knife collection meant to that guy. Some of you are like, well, you don't understand. That was like taking off one of his little toes. It's like, it was a big deal. That was a big deal.
It's so easy to breeze over those stories and just be like, oh yeah, they sold their motorcycle or their knife collection and just kind of see it as part of the process. But like to do that is, I have seen some of the guys standing on the stage look like they got punched in the stomach when they admit that they sold their truck or something like that. Yeah. But way to go for doing that, because that's that is love, that is commitment, that says a lot.
That's exactly what it takes. Open phones this hour as we talk to you about your life and your money. We really value the input from people who watch and listen to the show. It helps us know what's important to you and the ways that we can adjust the show. There's parts of the show that we do and we're really not going to change them. And there's other parts we want to learn about things we can do to help you better. And so we'd love to have your input. We really do. So we're doing a survey. The survey takes just a few minutes. You can do it on your phone if you want. And everybody that takes the survey is registered to win, no purchase necessary. Someone's going to win a $500 Visa gift card to say thank you for your time. So go to RamseySolutions.com/survey, and it takes just a few minutes. Again, RamseySolutions.com/survey. So open phones here at 888-825-5225. You can jump in, and we'll talk to you about your life and about your money. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. And this is the place where we teach you to live on less than you make. The concepts we teach here are not complicated, not hard to understand, just hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you got to deal with that person in your mirror. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. On the line with us, our good friend from Fox & Friends, Steve Doocy, is with us with his new cookbook coming out. Hey, Steve, how are you, my friend?
Hello, Dave. Hello, Christina from gorgeous New Jersey. It's nice to talk to you.
Hey, good to talk to you, brother. So you have to come on here every time you guys do a cookbook, because when you came on with the first one, the second one, they were all bestsellers, and so we want to make sure that this third one is a bestseller too, and we want to do everything we can to help. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. You know, one thing about what we have seen as we have come out of the pandemic is when everybody was hunkered down, everybody was eating more, and a lot of people were drinking more at home because that's all there was to do. You couldn't really go out. Now, people are leaving their houses a little more, and they're getting out. They still want to make their own dinner, but you got to make it simple. And so that's the idea behind this cookbook. It's based on simple ingredients, simple to cook, and simply delicious.
Now, the Simply Happy Cookbook by Steve and Kathy Doocy. And actually, the secret sauce is named Kathy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I love the sound of simple. As a mom of two, that is exactly what I need every night, is something that is simple to make, healthy, good for us, and can be done quickly. So that's amazing. I'm going to be getting this book.
Yeah, you know, the whole idea behind the series was that it's like the proven fact. It's a scientific fact that certain foods can kind of trigger, you know, the nostalgia department of your brains. And when you see it or taste it or smell it or somebody mentions it or you see it on the menu, it reminds you of something happy somewhere in your past. I know when my wife, Kathy, makes the pot roast that my mom made for us on my birthday, when I walk in the house, I can smell it. And as soon as I smell it, I am suddenly 8 years old again, living in that little house in Russell, Kansas, and it just takes you to a happy time. So It's and everybody can identify with. Dave, I remember when you and your wife came on Fox and Friends, and you said one of your favorite recipes was an epic pot roast that your wife makes with a bottle of wine, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, throws a Coca-Cola in there too, if I remember right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, the smells are. There's something really important, and we discovered this again during these times we've all just come through, about people gathering and dining together. Breaking bread together is so good for humans, so good for relationships, so good for just your mental wellness, the whole thing. And so having a great cookbook like this to facilitate that. What in the world is one of your favorite recipes in there? You got stories all through this thing, too. It's all about the stories that tie back to the different recipes, and that kind of ties it in like we're talking about with nostalgia and the relationships.
Right. Exactly. So every recipe has a story that explains why it is a happy recipe for somebody. And one of the motivations we had to simplify things was because all three of our kids, including the famous Peter Doocy, the White House correspondent, they all got married this past year. And so, they'd call and they'd say, yeah, we're going to go to the grocery store. You have any ideas? Simple things we could cook. And of course, my wife gave them some great ideas. But you asked about favorite recipes. I've got a couple of them. One is, in our first cookbook, one of the primary recipes, and everybody makes a lasagna, but my wife made a lasagna on our first date. And at the end of the first date, I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but we're going to get married someday.
Will you marry me? Yeah. It's the will you marry me lasagna.
Well, we call it engagement lasagna.
Oh, okay.
Because 40 days. Well, after I told her that, she said, thank you. That's nice. Please leave.
Yeah, you're a stalker.
And then 40 days later, I proposed. She accepted. And 4 months later, we were married. So anyway, we did initially engagement lasagna. Then with our second cookbook, I think the most popular recipe was lasagna soup, which is fantastic.
Yum.
And this new one is just wrap your head around this. Lasagna grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, I saw the picture when I was flipping through.
Sounds amazing.
Oh, man. And the other one I like is Grandma's braided bacon. If you have braided bacon, I got to hold this up. The YouTube people can see it. Braided bacon sandwich. Man, I need that.
So a lot of times when I look at a cookbook, I see these beautiful photos and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, but mine's not going to turn out like that. How does this cookbook make it less intimidating for people like me who maybe my recipes don't often turn out as pretty or as yummy as they look in the pictures?
That is such a good point, Christina, because so often, you want to take a picture. You want to, when you're talking to your family, you say, Dave, in your cookbook, turn to page 128, if you've got it right there.
Okay, I'll find it.
You want to take a picture of the food because it's delicious, but it just sits there. And so,
oh my Lord, is that tater tots?
Yes, it is. We call that the Iowa Caucus casserole. And
that is gorgeous.
It's because it's tater tots.
The prettiest tater tots I've ever seen.
Right.
The Iowa
I'm from
Caucus.
Kansas, and my wife is from California. But our son Peter, before he got the assignment at the White House, he was covering all the candidates in Iowa. And, he went and visited my relatives, and they would have a lot of these casseroles. And so we wanted to put together a casserole with tater tots from my childhood. And so Peter and I worked on this, and it is off the chart good. We're going to make it on Fox and Friends tomorrow. But
that's incredible.
Christina, it's hard to mess this up when it comes to the beauty department because you just make concentric circles with tater tots, and then you put it in the oven, and boom, you look like a genius.
It looks, it might be even a great appetizer.
Right.
Yeah.
The family will be so impressed.
I'm liking this. Okay, now is the kid with the hatchet throwing it at the board? Is that you or Peter?
That would be Peter.
Yeah, I figured. Okay. Tell him I guessed that. Okay. Yeah, we love the work he's doing. We're proud of him.
Oh, thank you. If you're looking at the kid with the hatchet, if you look 2 pictures over, Dave, from that, that's me with a broken foot. And the kid in the monster suit that we made out of paper mache,
yeah,
that is the 6 foot 6 inch tall White House correspondent Peter Doocy.
No shame in your game.
No,
maybe in his, but the book is the Simply Happy Cookbook, the 3rd best-selling cookbook from our friends Steve and Kathy Doocy, and pretty incredible. My wife has enjoyed all of these. Christina will enjoy this one. We'll get another one for Sharon as well. And hey, little known trivia, Steve, for you. Christina had a #1 bestseller called Confessions of a Scholarship Winner. She got $500,000 in scholarships a few years ago.
Wow.
Before she came on with us. She came on with you guys on Fox and Friends, and that was her first major interview, and it put that book on the bestseller list. She was telling me that coming in, so she was excited to have you on today.
Oh, that is so nice. You know, you love to hear stories like that where, you know, when you have a good idea or something good happens to you and you get the word out, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not a lot of good news out there, it seems like.
I've heard the rumor.
So when you hear somebody who does well, everybody wants to learn a secret from them.
It's a very full circle moment. So I'm very grateful for that interview and what you've done and for this cookbook, because I have a feeling I'm going to be able to cook some very impressive recipes in the near future.
You got to do the Iowa cockless tater tots. There's
I
no
cannot
question
wait.
about that one's an
Exactly.
absolute must right there. I love it. I love it. Good to talk to you, my friend. We'll see you soon next time we're up there.
Thank you very much, Dave and Christina. Have a great day, and make this day a simply happy day.
There we go. The Simply Happy Cookbook, Steve and Kathy Doocy. Check it out. The other 2 were bestsellers for a reason. It's a fabulous stories, fabulous pictures, all kinds of great recipes. You'll enjoy it. We love this guy. Been friends with him a long time and thoroughly enjoy promoting Kathy's stuff along with Steve's. This is The Ramsey Show. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today in the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Peter and Angelica are with us. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good.
Great.
How are you?
Hi. Hey,
Better
Dave.
than welcome.
Christina.
Good to have you. How much debt have you paid off?
It was $147,375.68, I think.
There you go. Good enough. And how long did this take?
22 months.
22 months?
Yes.
Okay. And your range of income during that time?
It's about 160.
Okay. What do y'all do for a living?
I'm a home care nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a paralegal / I have my clinic business as well.
Excellent. Excellent. And where do you guys live?
About a half hour outside of Boston.
Hudson,
Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Nashville. That's a bit of a trip.
Yes.
All right. Good to have you. So what started this whole process to get you guys out of debt 22 months ago?
Well, what started it was about 6 years ago. We took FPU after we've been married for about a year, and I brought a lot of student loans, credit card loans into our marriage. Angelica brought a tiny bit, but not too much. Mostly it was me. We took FPU, Connect Church in Massachusetts, and that started it. It took us about a year to pay that off, and then we spent a couple of years saving up for a down payment. And then 22 months ago is when we kind of pulled the trigger with paying the mortgage off quickly.
This is your house.
Yes.
You paid off your house. I'm talking to weird people.
Hey.
Yes, that's
Wow.
amazing.
That wasn't much of a mortgage.
No, it wasn't. Well, we put a good down payment down. You know, we followed the baby steps. We did 3B for a while. You know, we saved up our emergency fund in 3B, and then got our retirements going and everything with our mortgage. And we bought small. You know, we bought a condo. We kept conservative. You know, we said we want to be able to have some margins, so we want to pay off the house quickly. So
good for you guys. Wow.
That's
so
amazing.
Looked up 22 months ago and said, "Oh, let's just go ahead and knock this out.
Let's do it." Yeah.
Just keep on the plan. Just stay on the plan. Just stay on the plan.
Exactly.
Wow. It all starts with Financial Peace University when you first get married.
Yeah, about a year into it.
Yeah.
After we kind of were just looking around without a plan on how to get rid of my loans.
I just love how much joy is completely radiating off you all. Like you can just feel it before you guys came on the stage. It's like you could just feel happiness, and that's what it feels like when you pay off your house. When you're completely debt free, it's a whole different world. So, what did this journey look like for y'all?
Oh boy, do you want to? I don't know.
It was hard at first, but we keep always our mindset with no, we have the eyes on the prize and the final prize, and we keep praying and be focused. And we know the budget is important, but we think mindset and pray and be diligent. As a Christian, we believe that we have to be a good steward and manage God's money well. So it's not ours; it's just temporary. And in 2020, when we started paying off the house, Ethan was born, our son, and was a really tough time. It was in March 2020, and he was
at
born.
The beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the isolation and.
It was kind of crazy because Peter, as a nurse, it was really frightening for me to see. It was really, really hard. But we trust the plan and say, okay, we saved some money. We had $20,000 after he was born, and we put it down right away. Mm-hmm. And then we accelerated the remaining amount.
Way to go, you guys. Way to go.
That's awesome.
Powerful. You don't have a payment in the world. What's this house worth today, or this condo?
A little over 300,000. Yeah.
How much in your retirement accounts?
Combined, close to 100,000. So we play and say we are $250,000.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah, you're a little over $500,000 net worth now.
Yes.
We're right at it.
Yeah, a little over. Yeah.
Way to go, y'all. Way to go. How old are you?
I'm 36.
38, I think.
Yeah. So 45, you guys are going to be millionaires. Yeah.
Hey.
That's where you'll be. Way to go, you guys.
Speak it.
That's so fun. That is so fun.
Who were your biggest cheerleaders in the process?
I got to say, my coworker Tabitha. She became a Dave convert in the middle of our baby step 2 process, 2 and 3, and my parents and our FPU leaders back at Connect Church. Who else? Each other.
Yeah. My mom as well. I'm from Brazil, so she was very excited to see this achievement. I'm here almost 10 years, and I came from less than nothing. I just had my education from Brazil, and here I met Peter with so much debt. And I heard people say, "Why are you gonna get married? And he's so much debt. Are you crazy?" But he was so worth every penny. Such a man. Like God man.
You say he's good looking.
I don't know. I think I married up.
He's just, a perfect husband that, followed Jesus Christ, and that was most important for me than paying off, the debt per se. So.
Amen. Well, you can get out of debt if you have a plan.
Yes.
And we tell folks all the time, we would never tell someone not to get married because of debt. Mm-hmm. We would tell you not to get married if you're not in agreement about it, and you're both in agreement about it. We're going to do this. You jumped into Financial Peace University, knock out his student loans, and then here we go. Go ahead and just finish it up. And 22 months ago, decide, we're going to do the mortgage, and now we're 100% out. And you're in your mid-30s. Y'all are in a great place. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So your mom's jumping up and down, huh?
She will when she sees it. Yeah.
Yes, she's very excited for how I accomplished. Well, if I switch the currency in Brazil, I'm millionaire out there. Yeah. I'm multimillionaire in Brazil. So that's great. It feels great.
That'll work too. I like it.
So for all the newlyweds who are just starting out and maybe one spouse is coming into the marriage with a lot of debt and one's a little bit nervous about it, what advice would you give them as they start their journey?
Oh, boy. Be honest, obviously. That's one thing that's very important. What else?
Pray together.
Pray, yeah. Prayers. That was a big thing throughout the whole process. Is even though we've got this plan that we know it's going to work because we've been watching the show for a while, that times get tough and you got to pray and even getting extra work that you can handle requires prayer and grace. We make our plans and God directs our steps and. You do have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
I like that little eyebrow raise where you're like, you gotta be on the same page.
Yes. That's a good word. Good job, you guys. I'm so proud of y'all. Well done. Very well done. Thanks for making a trip all the way from Boston to celebrate with us. We're honored to meet you and see you and and hear this great story. You guys have got a bright, bright future ahead of you. We got a copy of Baby Steps Millionaires for you, because that is the next chapter in your story. In American dollars, you'll be there before you know it. And a Financial Peace membership for the next year, you can give that to someone. That's what started your whole journey, and that'll get going. And, of course, a Total Money Makeover book as well. So let's bring Peter in and introduce him. Oh, it's Ethan. I'm sorry. Ethan in and introduce him. I'm sorry. And so how old is Ethan?
2.5.
Oh, he's beautiful. Good-looking guy. I'm not surprised. Very well. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, it's Peter, Angelica, and Ethan. Boston, Massachusetts, $147,000. House and everything at 36 years old. Did that in 22 months, making $160. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free! That is fun.
Oh, that was amazing.
That's got to get you.
Oh, it gets me with the baby. I had a pandemic baby as well, to hear their journey and the perseverance through it.
Your mom is?
My mom's an immigrant.
Venezuelan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Venezuelan. And to see her face and that scream and the jump, whew.
That's it.
Oh,
even the Spanish countdown. That's good.
Right.
Or was it? No, is Brazil's Portuguese?
Portuguese.
Yeah. Okay.
But the 3, 2, 1 sounds very similar.
Yeah. Okay. I thought. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Love it.
Way to go, you guys. That's powerful stuff. So, I don't know what your story is out there, but let me tell you this: you can decide, starting right now, right this second, to have a different story. Right now, you're listening to them. You may not be in the same situation they're in, maybe better, maybe worse, but you can decide. You have the power. You don't have to wait on someone else to fix your life, because guess what? They're not going to. It's up to you. Pray like it all depends on God. You work like it all depends on you. This is The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day, Psalm 91:1. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. John Mark Comer said, in seasons of busyness, we need more time in the quiet place. Not less. Definitely not less. Christina Ellis, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Up next is going to be Jan in Dallas, Texas. Hi, Jan. How are you?
Great. Howdy, Dave and Christina from Dallas.
Good to have you. How can we help?
Thank you. So I have to admit, I've been sitting in a lot of fear about retirement. So I do not have family. My whole family passed away in my late 20s, and I'm not married and no kids. And I'm about to be 57 next Thursday. And I have $10,000 in 401k, so I have not done a great job there. But right now I have $80,000 in cash. And mentally, I've thought I would like to try to buy something outright or halfway outright so that I don't have a mortgage and, you know, just be free of any monthly payment on housing. But I didn't know if that was the right route to go or stick that money into mutual funds and save.
What do you make a year?
So I make $120,000 and then usually have somewhat of a bonus.
Okay. All right.
Do you have any debt?
I do. So, unfortunately, I have a fairly new truck that I owe about $31,000 on. And then I have $5,000 on credit cards right now.
Okay. I have a feeling the first place to start is with the truck.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm in Dallas. You know, you got to have a truck.
I know, and that's a painful one to let go of.
Yes.
But you are technically on baby step 2, and we want to wipe out that debt quickly, and you have the cash to do it. So, I mean, there is a lot of wiggle room.
Here's the thing. If you don't sell the truck, you got to pay it off.
Okay.
Today.
Okay.
That means you got $50,000 to put down on a house.
Okay.
In Dallas.
Right.
You're 57 years old.
Right.
When are we going to get this house paid off? Yeah. This truck's a bigger weight than it feels like it is. It is a big weight right now. It's not really out of line based on your income, but you're late to the game on building wealth and getting your house paid off. You got a lot to do in the next 8 years.
Right.
You need a paid-for house and a substantial nest egg. And that truck is incongruent in that story. Okay. So you can do it. You can pay off the truck and buy a house with $50,000 down and pay off the credit cards and cut them up, and we'll put you into Financial Peace University and start showing you how to do all this stuff. I'll tell you what, let's just do that.
Okay.
And I want you to write on the calendar the week before Thanksgiving, do I sell my truck? By then, I want you to have gone through the 9 weeks in Financial Peace University. I'm going to give it to you free. You take the class, and then you decide after you see holistically what Christina and I are seeing, and it doesn't sound so arbitrary then you decide if the truck is holding you back from your goals. Because I think when you learn to run the math out on getting a paid-for house, see, where I want you to be for retirement is a paid-for house and a pile of money.
Right.
And no other debt either.
Yeah.
And how quick can we get there? The good news is you make really good money. And the other good news is you don't have to talk somebody else into doing all this other than the person in your mirror.
Yeah.
So
I was going to retire at 70, just because I felt like I had to. So
you probably do.
Years.
You probably do.
Yeah.
It's probably going to take you that long. But just the same, what we need is a $200,000 paid-for house by then.
Okay.
And we need, $500,000 in mutual funds. So we're $700,000 out of line, and we got 80.
Okay.
And we got, you got 7 to 10 years to do this, and I think you can do it. Matter of fact, I know you can do it. It's just a matter of how far you're going to sacrifice, because what you've probably done, because most people do it, and just listening to your story and your math is, you've probably had a really good career that has incrementally increased. It's probably not been sudden.
Correct.
And you've incrementally increased your lifestyle faster than your income went up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got a $30,000 truck debt and a $5,000 credit card debt, so we know you spent money you didn't have.
Right. And I had a lot of medical debt over the years.
Yep. But either way, you spent more than you had coming in. Not a ton until the truck. I mean, that was the big one. But I mean, up until then, you've kind of but you also didn't save anything. So whatever your increase was, you spent it.
Correct.
All along. And that's normal. That's not shaming you. But we got to have a plan that goes the other direction now, that goes all increases, and we're going to lower our lifestyle starting today less than $120,000 substantially, because we got some goals to accomplish here that matter, because the quality of your life in retirement is going to depend on how much you sacrifice in the next 5 to 7 years.
Well, you mentioned having a fear of retirement. I hope you hear in this conversation not more fear, but rather you can follow this plan and get there.
Urgency, but not fear.
Urgency, but not fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a great income and you've got a solid foundation. If you just walk these steps out with that urgency, you can get there.
Yeah. Absolutely, you can get there. So, and we'll help you, Jan. And you call us back anytime, and you can decide. What Christina and I are seeing is, we think your life will be better faster if you didn't have to climb the mountain without this truck. But we'll let you just put that on the calendar, and the week before Thanksgiving, you just say a prayer and say, all right, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with this truck? Now that I know what I know from Financial Peace University, what do you want me to do? And we'll teach you, and then you can make the decision. I think you'll come to that conclusion. But I'm not going to be mad at you, but I'm just saying that is one more hurdle, one more obstacle you got to climb over to get to the end of this obstacle course you're in, that includes a paid off home or condo or something, and a pile of money to retire on. And we need to get there pretty quick. It can be done, though. You make good money, and we just got to get that money harnessed and heading in the right direction. Hold on, and we'll have Kelly pick up and get you signed up for FPU. Shay is with us in Jacksonville, Florida. Shay, I'm short on time. Ask your question quick.
Hello.
Shay?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. How can we help right quick?
Okay. Okay. So I have a question for you. We are a military family, and just last year we were doing awesome. My husband and I had over $100,000 in our savings account. We were completely debt free, and then we moved in the military and purchased our first home. And when we did that, we kind of put ourselves back into debt by purchasing things for the home. We upgraded our vehicle and kind of got ourselves upside down.
You were doing good, and then you lost your mind.
Yeah, we completely lost our mind. And
how much debt have you got?
I put that all on me.
How much debt have you got?
I don't even want to tell you because I know you're going to yell at me. But we owe on my husband's car about $18,000 on his, and we just got a new van, and we owe $47,000 on that.
Yeah, you need to sell that. That was dumb.
And I knew you were going to say that. So my question is, how do we even go about doing something as far as selling the vehicle?
How much money have you got? The $100,000 still in savings?
So right now we currently have $60,000 left in savings, and that's after putting down the down payment for the home.
Yeah, and your household income is what?
Right now we're at right at $100,000.
Yeah.
And
honey, you can't afford this van. You can't. You got the money to sell the van. Sell the van and go buy you a van that's $10,000 or $15,000 to haul your kids in. You're going to have to stop this.
Yeah.
You're not in Congress. You can't spend like this.
Yeah, I know.
You're
and
killing
the question
yourself.
that I had is, I did something else stupid that I know you're going to yell at me about.
I'm not going to yell at you about anything, honey. I love you. I want you to win. I appreciate your service to the country. And we'll put you guys through Financial Peace University and help you get out of this. But, honey, you ain't going to be able to keep this van. It just doesn't fit. And you know it in your heart of hearts. You know you can't do this. It's not me yelling at you. I don't want you to win. I just love you. I want you to do good. That puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus. Dave here. We just launched a brand new audience survey for The Ramsey Show, and we'd love your feedback. You could be entered to win a $500 Visa gift card. No purchase necessary. Take the survey at RamseySolutions.com/survey.